Sup, this is David, and today I want to talk to you about aligning with your heart cell and how we should love our coaching business. So, I saw a video recently with Alex and Tony Robbins, and this was a big light bulb moment for me as they were talking. And it was Alex interviewing Tony, but it felt like Alex was getting coached by Tony Robbins, and it felt like kind of like a father son type of meeting, like a student and master type of meeting. But it reminded me of like the fun and passion aspect of like this whole business thing, like the whole coaching business thing, and it really helped shift my perspective back into it. Because sometimes like we get so busy sometimes, right? We're like so busy building so thick in the forest or helping our clients, we are building our thing, that we lose that joy, that lightness to it, that childlike mentality, that childlike creativity that is sometimes can be very important in not just business but also life, right? And in order for a business to be sustainable, we want it to be fun, right? We want to introduce like that play. And then Tony had me amped throughout that video, and I'll definitely leave a link to that interview down below. But it made like the whole thing feel like like 10 minutes, right? And I thought like Alex, he had like incredible frame control, right? But next to Tony, man, it seems like it was watching like master and student at work here. And big ups to Alex, by the way, but for being like actually listening and taking that advice. And you can see the change. You can see like a paradigm shift going on in Alex's like body gesture there. But you do have to watch the vid to get the context for this post. But either way, you can watch it anyway. But yeah, I remember watching some of Alex's old videos, and he was saying like, forget happiness, right? Fuck happiness and just start doing things. Like, I gave up on happiness, right? And then so he just started doing things. And of course he like accomplished many things by doing that. But then I remember vibing with that at some point in my life. I was like, yeah, forget happiness. Let me just focus on work. Let me just focus on money. Let me just focus on building the business, right? But then it got to a point where it was like, it was all work and no life. Like, money was good, but life wasn't. And the crazy thing, like, the inverse isn't good either, right? Like money shouldn't suck and life should be good. So it's like we have to see it from the perspective of both, right? How do we do that? And it came to a point where I was like so caught up in my work that I felt like I was building sandcastles. Like, I had sand foundations, and it was like a very flimsy type of foundation, and it was gonna like collapse, right? That's what I based my business model on, because it was no fun, dude. It was no fun, and it was just, I could see myself burning out, and it wasn't sustainable. So just like how Tony says how words are very powerful, so are questions, right? So what if we ask a better question? How can we do both? How can we achieve both? As Jim Collins says, there's tyranny in the or, but there's genius in the and, if you just ask the and question, right? So how can we get passion? How can we get wealth, of course, freedom, fulfillment? And I think these matter just as equally as just the profit part, right? I guess that's the philosophy that I have for like this whole, like the world building, the freedom world model stuff, and engineering for a good equilibrium of all of these, right? How do we do both? And so at times I felt like, like this anime girl in here, like I just felt I was like working all day long, working weekends, working holidays. It's kind of crazy. Like, some days I couldn't differentiate if it was a weekend or a weekday or if it was a holiday, because where I live in and where I reside in Korea, sometimes we have like holidays, right? And then to me, it looked like the exact same routine. And then I would go to these coffee shops, and there would be like no people in there. I'll be like, well, why is nobody in here? And I realized it was a holiday, right? But then I had the same routine because I was constantly working like 10, 12-hour days. Like, I couldn't differentiate the days. No, that's how I felt. I felt like a zombie. And sometimes we get lost, right? So it's a good reminder to get back to like that connection and in tune with like our emotional side as well as life. Dude, life, right? And from my experience, when you cross the logic and the heart together, like abundance just flows through, man. Abundance just flows through. And in that video, Tony Robbins says heart. It's not just the mind. And then he refers to anabolic Alex. So there's analytical Alex, and then there's anabolic Alex, like the fun side, right? Analytical Alex is very, very logical, stuck in the head. But then there's like the kid side, right? Anabolic Alex is what gives the pulse of life, right? And Wadim Zealand, author of Reality Transurfing, amazing book, he calls it your heart sail, right? Tuning to your heart sail. And that's really aligning your passion, aligning your skills, and what you can offer to the world, right? It's kind of like ikigai in a way, right? What you love doing, and what you love doing should be the sail and the rudder, right? And I believe like this whole coaching business should be about that. It should be about doing what you love and then teaching that, so that you are scaling your gift, or you're spreading your gift, right? So that it becomes win-win, so that it becomes play. And like Naval says, right, what looks like play to you, but work to others. And of course, we get paid well to do it as well. So like this whole time, I was asking the wrong question all this time, right? I was asking, so instead of like, fuck happiness, instead of using that frame, how do we do both? How do we get both happiness and build and get a ton of wealth and abundance? And I guess it's the synthesis to some of the ideals that I share here in the Freedom World, and in the content that I'm sharing with you, and the common journey that some of us bond over, right? Like Tony said, there's two ways to look at it. Like, angry makes me sharp, but guess what? Happiness also makes me sharp. Like, either way, you get the same thing, but one just has a better vehicle, like a nicer view. And so I hope you enjoy watching that podcast as much as I did. I saved it to watch it for later. And this current business model that I'm in, the Freedom World, aka world building, the thing is, it does take a little bit of work, especially in the front end as I'm, continuing to build, but it absolutely fulfills me, and it's absolutely full of heart. And now I'm building castles and a world on solid foundations, and it lines with that heart sail. And that is also what I wish for you, my friend. So if you are an established online coach and want to learn more about marketing and scaling based on leverage and freedom, selling without sales calls, and maybe attuning to your heart sail, then please subscribe for more videos like this. And you can also watch this video over here. I think the content I provide is super fun, relatable, and I think I can help you get more clients, more profits, and more freedom in your high ticket coaching business. I'll talk to you in the next video.